Welcome back from the commercial break as we continue with our discussion in this program of The Point. And I welcome you once again, our dear guests, and especially welcoming you back from the heavy task duty you were handling. It's after the loss of our senior comrade, General Eliud Tumine.
Yeah.
And we take also in 1 minute or 1 second to again recall the great works he did and what he didn't do as the best, but at least we recall he contributed greatly to this country, and I would like to condone with the family once again for the loss of their beloved one and the friends and relatives, the nation at large. It's once again to welcome you also from that task that you were partly involved in, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah, please, Honorable, you had reached somewhere doing some good work, and would like to welcome you to give us your input in 5 minutes. As you are able to do it, we'll continue exchanging ideas and analyze how we can do better than we have done before in matters of our economy.
I think what I was talking about was the subject matter that we are discussing, because the way you coined it up, it's resolving Uganda's socio-economic war. The general, his interpretation is in military terms, different from our own political economy actors. So us in political economy actors, I went with what you say, but how do we resolve and cap the safety of public resources in Uganda? And when you talk about public safety of resources in Uganda, as we had this discussion before we came back into the air, where we all would say it's not even corruption, it is broad daylight theft.
Robbery.
And in this kind of daylight robbery that has made this country suffer, had we not have this kind of robbery, this kind of theft of public resources, Uganda would be very far. We wouldn't be having all this kind of stuff that we are having. Because when you see what do Ugandans need now, and we are talking about refugees, the differences, standard of living. Because what the money being stolen is money for hospitals, for building hospitals, for better education, for schools, for better roads, infrastructure, for better railway system, we will be having a functioning railway. Whatever we talk about would be better. Uganda would be a country that is maybe a parallel, the real part of Africa. So if we are to compute, because whenever we talk now, we talk about the computation goes for the past 36 plus years when the NRM has been in power. And this kind of scandals date us back as 1980s to date. If we go into the list of the scandals, the money will be in trillions. So now, how do we resolve this matter? The matter is to own up the problem. And how do we own up this problem? It's for all of us. First of all, in the beginning, when, like, for example, 10 years back, when we used to talk about these matters, we used to be castigated that we are naysayers, we are prophets of doom. And everybody was saying the government, there is no corruption in the government. Where is it? Prove it. Not until when the president also came and said, yeah, there are thieves in my government. Now that's when everybody comes to own it up. And this kind of scandals and corruption and theft is in every ministry that you talk about, you will get it. There is no ministry, there is no department, there is no agency that is free of these scandals. So if we are to resolve what we are talking about, socio-economic war in the 21st century, first of all, is the first war that we have to wage on. We have to wage war on this kind of theft of public resources. And as General Kraige said, when he posed the question, is the country stable? Yes, the country is stable. Having hunger in Karamoja you don't say the country, there is instability in the country.
Honorable
That is not in
Honorable Nyazachi, on that matter, the reason why I posed a comment or make an opinion on the matter of stability, we are proud the country, yes, in terms of political stability, especially issues of security, we are stable. But the stability, it should be holistic. It should be holistic in such a way that we can say socially we are stable. This problem indeed is not occurring. Then we go to matters of those who are not having what to eat. What is a problem? What's
when you are going,
that is instability.
If you are going to use that definition, the country will never stable, not even a single day. Because when you don't have that question of hang in Karamoja, you will have floods in Mbale, you will have landslides in Mbale, you will have floods in Rwenzori, you will have something, bridges collapsing. So if you use that definition, there is no single day that we shall be stable.
And if that's the basis, if I may give an addendum, honorable, then the United States is not stable.
Yes.
There are fires in California.
Exactly.
Yeah, they must continue fighting.
Those are disasters.
You said it's a struggle.
Of course, the struggle continues.
Yes.
But we must have a dichotomy between challenges of nature and policies that have changed lives or failed to change them.
Absolutely.
That's right.
Yes.
Fine.
So when we are going to talk about stability, we are looking at the security of the nation, and we are stable. So what is it that has failed to defeat? It is this war on corruption. And actually, before may his soul rest in peace, General Tumine used to say that we have failed to defeat this war of corruption. It was an ardent fight on corruption. So we need to resolve that matter. If that matter is resolved, then there will be schools, there will be better education, there will be health, there will be transport system, there will be equity for all. Once you have equity for all, that's why when you go in Europe, when you go to America, it's very difficult to differentiate between the rich and the poor. You all use similar facilities. You move in public buses together. You move in public sub-public transport system. The ministers, parliamentarians, commoners, whoever it is, they all use that public transport system. If it comes to health, they use the same hospitals. Same hospital. There's no hospital for the rich and the hospital for the poor, because it's all about the health of a human being. So there will be equity in that case. When it comes to education, all they're subjected to the same school. Like in the past, these things have come deteriorated with time. I studied from Mutore Secondary School for 11. Mutore would be among the 10. You would be checking Mutore for among the first 10 schools in the country. You would be looking for these schools in Lango, in Acholi. So, but now, because of inequality, skilled services, now those schools have been relegated to first-world schools.
Yes, honorable becoming
hospitals in these rural areas, same story. So if we are to have this harmony of social equity, we must address the issue of social services.
Social services.
Where everyone and every Ugandan is treated equally. Where there is no segregation.
Allow me to come in briefly as
moderate.
There's some issue which I would like to raise.
If the high-ranking political or whatever it is, this one is taken to Germany, America, wherever it is, and unfortunately, most of them are not coming back alive. So this would be having, like, if we had our hospital, this money we had committed funds to Rubawa Hospital, which was even late. If we have a functional Murago Hospital, National Referral Hospital, everybody would be going.
Whom should we hold accountable? Because as you stated, and the mayor said, indeed, it's a war because it has not yet gone the outcome of it, and we still continue to do. We should be able to end it.
We in government hold us accountable.
hold you accountable.
Yeah, it is the government.
That's very good to go. Now, while holding you accountable, you are part of an initiative under government to create wealth, Operation Creation Wealth, right?
Yes.
And this is part of an initiative to end the food insecurity.
Right.
And incidentally, around between 2019 and 2000, before we entered into the COVID, whereas the army, the UPDF, were also some, the human resource of the UPDF were employed into this department to check the kind of stealing and the supply of flour, or what we normally call air. They say they have supplied this, but it's not there. All that and so forth. Since then and the time you entered into that department, we begin from that one. Do you think there has been an improvement to realize the end of corruption even under that? Because the reports which were received in 2019 reveals that even some of those who were deployed to fight against the same corruption, and mostly from the security forces, those who were employed as either, lieutenant colonels, something like that, still, do we see any improvement or progress through that mechanism?
Yeah. First of all, it must be on record, and you must put the record right. Our OWC officers have not been implicated in those kind of supply scandals. Because OWC does not procure, OWC was overseeing. And of course, in this kind of the environment, the OWC is acting in a intoxicated environment. Mm-hmm. And because of the toxicity of the environment, we are having procurement which are fraud. So if the procurement which are fraud, OWC stops at writing reports, or investigating, doing post-mortem more or less. But amidst all those challenges, yes, there are some achievements that have been registered. That's why, for example, as we speak today, where we were, for example, we have coffee. Let's take coffee. You can see coffee, the graph of coffee is shooting up.
The graph of
That's
coffee.
why we have been involved.
Okay.
In tea, the graph has shot up.
We are doing well.
Tea, yes, we have increased our exports. Maize, cereals, we have increased the production of maize. We are now more or less food secure now in as far as cereals, maize is concerned.
Thank you, Honorable. Thank you, Honorable.
Mm-hmm. And this is in a very short period of intervention. Mm-hmm. And when we are not given those resources to implement, but we are being told to say, eyes on, hands off. You just see and report. It's not hands on.
But you can cause an investigation if you find there is.
We even investigate. We don't cause. We do it.
You're right.
We do the investigation. But when it comes to prostitution, then we hand over to another
agency.
Let's welcome Brigadier General. Brigadier General, we continue to struggle for that better Uganda, and part of the initiative, we saw the president, the head of state, bring an initiative of involving the UPDF in construction, especially public procurement for construction company, where the UPDF, the specialized engineering department, were to save the continuous fraud that is encountered through the procurement process, especially for construction projects. And also, on the desk that the president was able to support the establishment of an anti-corruption desk. And it is not yet known to Ugandans whether a lot has been achieved in this process of fighting corruption and stabilizing the economic progress that way. We'd like to receive your either comment to support how we can move on better.
First of all, I have a testimony. If you call here the MP for Butaleja.
Butaleja?
Yes. Where we have just completed the health center. Should we tell you? Built in record time and less resources than had been quoted before. We were given Buhinga Stadium. Phase one was to put a wall around the stadium. We completed it. Now, works to be done inside, money has not been procured, I am told. Then somebody was in a press conference today accusing us of not completing Buhinga Stadium. But he's being untruthful because there are phases of that stadium, and phase 1 we completed. Right now we are in Kasanda and Muvende, building health centers. So for us, our part, when we are given assignments, we deliver. When we are given assignment of delivering seedlings and seeds, we did. What was the consequence? Bumper maize harvest, growth in coffee production, as is telling you, growth in tea production. So we have dealt with the production aspect. What was supposed to happen next with the other relevant government departments was creation of market. When the people were suffering with the bumper harvest of maize, cutters of OWC, Botswana had produced only 24% of their maize requirement. Why couldn't we have maize exported to Botswana? That's for our Ministry of Trade. We are supposed to be the food basket for this region, East and Central Africa. Because whereas Kenya has maize as their staple food, only 27% of their soils are arable for maize production. The rest, they have to depend on Uganda.
But the food production capacity seems to be low, not what we expect.
But this is what I was building, and you diverted it to lamentations, which I don't believe in.
We are going on with that, and I remember I said in the second session, you'll be able to bring the big picture.
Because for me, I believe that the answer to food security lies in the things I mentioned, and then 4, economic diversification. That once you improve agriculture from subsistence farming, okay, to commercial agriculture, for an individual to produce for sale, you know, when people begin earning money, then excitement will lead them to make more, produce more. And I'll give an example. My lessons for Western Uganda, from Western Uganda. Me, I'm born and bred in Uganda. I'd never gone to the West until 1987. But I noticed that every homestead in Bushenyi had a cow, a banana plantation, a coffee plantation. For example, they had not received any government money. That meant if this person in Bushenyi has a financial need, he sells milk, he sells the banana, he sells coffee. In Uganda, it was purely you're a farmer who is growing coffee and bananas, or you have some few heads of cattle. This mixed farming was a strange phenomenon. Okay? In my father's home, where we were doing both, we didn't sell land to get school fees. We would sell cows.
You had many cows?
We had not very many, but education was very valuable.
But this is different from elsewhere.
No, listen what I'm telling you. You see, again, that's what I talk about, the point of local leadership. Whereas in Bushenyi, in Ankole, there's what I call positive competition. If only Wanyenzachi has built a Mabati house, I must build it as well. In central, eastern Uganda, and Bunyoro, if he has built a bricks house, he will find fetishes in the foundation. That's negative competition. And I'm saying this on the air, let the leaders challenge me, and I bring them evidence. So positive competition brings about development. Negative competition retards the society. And that can't be fought by central government. It must start with local leadership. It must start with religious leadership in the area.
Mindset change.
Mindset change. Thank you very much. So these are not issues you wait for central government to handle. Today, I don't know what I shared with you, the fight we had over sugarcane growing in Busoga. All right? Where the president was saying, look, leave sugarcane growing to plantation farmers, those who have the land. Okay? And they said he wants Busoga to die of poverty. But what's the reality on the ground? You have people with 2 acres hiring out the acres, those who have the money. At what rate? 400,000 per acre per year. Feel it? This younger man who has hired out his 3 acres will never grow food, because his land is now being used by somebody who hired it for sugar canes. Are you seeing how food insecurity is becoming a problem?
Yes, a problem.
2, this younger man's annual income from 1 acre is 400,000, which he has received. What will he do with 400,000 to make his life better? Now, you want to wait for central government to come and tell you that's a potential for danger?
General, you've raised the issue of positive competition
Yes.
very much that
Yes.
in our debate, or our discussion rather. And it reminds us of how the regional inequalities, sub-regional inequalities of our nation, and where you had an expression that is referring to what happened, the social lifestyle of Karamoja, in the way that they have been not able to make, some good strides to advance to what the agenda of this nation would have been in terms of economic progress. And we ask ourselves the question, whether the question is that they are lacking the positive competition. That's number 1. Number 2, it remains to the interest of us and the viewers how this positive competition can be harmonized in a way that we do not have the disparities. You compete with someone who has been, as we were talking about it in the first session, who has been given an offer or a favor which is not supposed to be the case, is getting 87 million, and you also want to compete with such person.
You see, my problem with you Ugandans is dealing with the symptoms rather than the causes.
We go now.
What is the payment for general manager or CEO of Kenya Airways? What is the payment for the CEO of Ethiopian Airlines? For me, that's the starting point, if you want to talk about that. But we will not go there.
That's right.
Because the biggest issue is this big mass that is languishing in the poverty. Not the individual of Uganda Airlines. That's peanut. My interest, this man, this woman, that is not assured of the next meal, how do you get him out of that situation?
Like the issue of Karamoja and so forth.
The issue of Karamoja.
Yeah.
We have dealt with the question of disarmament. First of all, the cattle rustling problem of Karamoja is as old as 1912. Karamoja has not had leaders all that time. They have been there. What has been their role? 2, you know the story of the dams. All right? But some dams were indeed dug.
Valley dams?
Yes, the valley dams.
Okay.
The valley dams were dug. Indeed, when it rains, there is water. My next stage expectation would have been, how do you harness this water not to evaporate in the dry season? Number 3, do these people you have dug up the dams for appreciate the purpose of these dams? Because the purpose was to hold them in one area. If you are going to look for water, water now has been brought. Okay? Next, how would you improve their grazing areas? But 3, the mind. And I want to start with the people keep talking of Nyabushozi. At least I was with the president when he was teaching about settled animal husbandry. And he said, anybody with 1,000 heads of cattle, if I find you looking for pastures, I will arrest you. That's the local leadership I'm talking about. Now, when people settled and began producing milk for the cooling plant, and they were receiving, imagine as well back as in 1994, the milk producers were receiving 44 million shillings every month in just one county. So when they saw that milk can bring money, they went wild. So whereas people are accusing them of having received favors of government, I saw people change from nomadic pastoralism to settled animal farming. They produced milk. Milk grew as we were seeing. So the point I'm making, therefore, the point of local leadership,
Yes, sir.
just go to your police cavalry. 30 years ago, Kabale was very cold.
It is still cold.
It is not.
Oh.
I was great to inform you. I was there about 2 weeks ago. You sweat in the night.
Really?
Yes. Why? The swamps have been encroached on. Even the forest we had behind Makanga, they demarcated the place in two plots.
Yeah.
Now, that environmental degradation has denied Kabale the right weather for sorghum growing. Today, sorghum is becoming scarce in Chigezi. Sorghum was a source of income for the local Buchiga who is brewing. What we're using it for Muramba. So, what am I talking about? Mismanaging local resources equally is perpetuating poverty.
We're going for a commercial break, and as we come back, I want to go to the in-depth of the sub-regional socioeconomic inequalities, where we find that some regions, in terms of poverty rate, the latest UBOS, the statistics reveals of how there are serious economic disparities, especially which goes to what we could refer as poverty, index. But we'll also look at what either can be done best to bridge that, because it's good to refer to the good progresses in Bushenyi, but when you go to other sub-regions, again, it leaves some Ugandans wondering whether they are part of Uganda. And we will be coming into that in the next session. Stay tuned on Smart 24 TV. See you in another session.
When I joined the Makerere,